Welcome to Expand Your Empire, the podcast where women stop deferring wealth and start building financial power. I'm Amanda Taylor, investor, strategist, and disruptor of outdated money rules. It's time to own your worth, grow your assets, and build a legacy that lasts. Hey, welcome back, Empire Builders, to the Expand Your Empire podcast. I am your host, Amanda Taylor, and I've had a few conversations lately. Why not bring it here to the pod? Something that I think a lot of ambitious women experience at some point, and I'm hearing about it, but I don't hear about it out loud. It's more subversive than that, so I wanted to talk about it with all of you today. It is this idea that when you start improving in your life, that you're going to lose everyone. I just keep seeing these quotes online. I've seen them from one person in particular, a few different ones, that growth is lonely. You're going to lose your friends when you level up, that people won't understand you when you start to evolve, when you start to grow. And I understand why those messages are go viral in this entrepreneurial world. They hit the part of you that's scared to step forward because you don't want to end up alone. Nobody does. But the idea that you have to choose between growth and connection, I think, is outdated. It's also not accurate. It's a simplified version of a much more complex experience. And for a lot of women, this idea is the reason they stay in rooms they've outgrown long after those rooms stop feeling aligned. And today, I want to talk about what actually happens when you evolve and why it doesn't have to be dramatic or isolating. When you start improving your life, the first thing that changes is not your relationships. It is your tolerance for misalignment. And that misalignment shows up long before relationships shift. You'll be in a conversation you've had 100 times before, and suddenly you notice you're explaining yourself more than you used to, or you'll talk about a goal that excites you and feels like it lands flat because someone thinks it's unrealistic. Has anyone ever been called delusional? You start hesitating before you share your wins, not because anyone around you is doing anything wrong, but because something inside you is moving in a new direction. And it shows up in small ways first. Those jokes that used to feel funny, they're not funny anymore. And someone's constant complaining starts to wear on you when you used to chime in. The parties you used to look forward to now feel draining. You want more depth and not more noise. You want conversations that move you forward, not that keep you in the same loop. And again, none of this means you're judging anyone. It simply means you're growing. And your inner world is shifting faster than your environment is. This is the real beginning of outgrowing a room. And if you're not aware of what's happening, you're going to think something's wrong with you. But it's not. Your identity is expanding and the world around you hasn't caught up yet. Now let's talk about why this hits women so intensely. We are trained to prioritize connection and harmony, and we want the people that we care about to feel supported. We want them to feel close to us. So when we start growing, we immediately worry that we're going to have to leave people behind, that we're going to confuse change with disloyalty. And that is where guilt comes in. And that guilt is exactly why so many women sabotage their own growth. They think that stepping into a new version of themselves means abandoning people they care about, but it doesn't. Because here's the part social media quotes never tell you. You don't lose everyone. You don't have to throw your life away to step into your new level. And you don't have to cut people off to evolve. You simply have to stop shrinking to keep relationships comfortable. Some of the closest people in my life today have no idea how my business works. They don't understand funnels, automation, investing, any of that, but they support me. They cheer for me. They don't get threatened when I grow, and they don't ask me to stay smaller because it makes them feel safer. This is what support looks like. Support doesn't require understanding, it requires respect. I had dinner with one of my best friends, I don't know, about a month ago, and she said she had hung out with her mom and was trying to, how's Amanda doing? And she's great. She travels all the time. I have no idea what she does. Women, money, that's about it. And you know what? I talk to this person every day. I love her, and we have completely different lives than we used to when we became friends. But again, support doesn't require understanding. You don't have to lose everyone. But there is another category of relationships, the ones that only work when you stay the same. Not because someone's a bad person, but because your growth highlights what they are not ready to face in their own lives. These are relationships where you feel the shift. They aren't able to meet you at your new level, not because they don't want to, but because they can't. And that is where things begin to fade. They don't collapse, they fade quietly, naturally, without a villain. So a real example from my journey, over just the last few years, I had joined a business mastermind, and it was perfect for where I was at the time. It gave me structure, it gave me momentum, it gave me community, and I learned so much. I built relationships. It helped me get through a season where I needed that support, and I was so grateful for it. But over time, I noticed something shift. I was showing up for calls and leaving without anything new. I was answering more questions than I was asking, and I could see blind spots for others that I didn't have myself. I wasn't being challenged, and I wasn't expanding. And that moment made it clear that there was a group call where everyone was celebrating their wins, and I shared something I was proud of. It wasn't grand or dramatic. It was something I had worked really hard for. And instead of excitement, I got confusions, questions that felt like doubt. People asking, are you sure? How is that going to work? How does that align? I remember logging off and thinking, I'm in the wrong room. Not because I thought I was above anyone there, but because the conversations that used to stretch me were now pulling me backward. I didn't blow up the bridge. I didn't make an announcement. I didn't talk about outgrowing anything. I simply moved forward, quietly, gratefully, with appreciation for what that season gave me. That is what mature growth looks like. It's not dramatic, it's honest. This is when I realized something important. When you grow, the first relationship you lose is the version of you who stayed small so that others could feel comfortable. And that is a loss worth celebrating. My boyfriend now, he's a former Hollywood writer, producer, screenwriter, and he keeps saying this over and over again. You're just writing a new character. You're just writing a new character. And I was annoyed with it at first, but I'm like, you're right. We don't watch movies where the main character stays in the same place, does the same things every day. We would stop watching that movie. We are about evolution. We are about moving into new things. So think about this evolution, where you're going and who's coming with you. So let's talk also about the rooms you move into next, because this is a part where everything changes. When you walk into a room that matches your next level, you feel it immediately. The conversations are different. The questions are different. The energy is different. Women aren't competing. They're building. They're thinking long term. And they talk about money like a tool instead of a threat. They talk about investing with curiosity and not fear. Success is normal, wealth is normal, ambition is normal, and no one looks at you like you're delusional. They look at you like you are capable. Being in rooms like this is what removes the loneliness that comes with growth. Growth is not lonely. Growth around the wrong people is lonely. But the moment you step into the right environment, loneliness becomes belonging. And if you're in a season where you feel caught between who you've been and who you're becoming, you're not alone. You're not doing anything wrong. You're writing your new character. Your identity is shifting. And the rooms that used to fit no longer do. That's not failure. That's just progress. So if you have been listening today and something in you felt seen, not just mentally, but in your body, that's usually a sign that you're stepping into a new stage. Not just professionally, but in your identity, your leadership, and the way you relate to wealth. This transition creates friction when you're in the wrong rooms, but it creates momentum when you're in the right ones. And if that's where you are, I want to invite you to join the Wealth Continuum, which is the free training I'm working on that breaks down the exact shifts that high achieving women make when they step into this next chapter. It's where we go deeper into alignment, wealth identity, and the kind of strategic thinking that elevates your entire life. It's the first step towards more intimate work inside of our inner circle, and it's where you're going to get the clarity you need to decide if you're ready for a new room and a new level of support. So if this conversation resonated today, then you're going to feel right at home there. So the link to get on the wait list is in the show notes. I'd love to see you inside there. I would love to see you here next week. We are going to continue these types of conversations. We are all evolving. And in order to do that, we need to get in new rooms. We need to do new things. I tell people all the time, I want to be the dumbest person in the room. The more I learn, the more rooms I got to get into. So I will see you in new rooms, and I will see you here next week. Until then, keep building those empires.
If this lit something up, share it, review it, and get in the room. Join the Expand Your Empire community and start turning wisdom into wealth. You're not too late, and you're not doing this alone.